How's it going, everybody? This is Dan, and this is Stories with Dan. I've changed the format of how I'm going to be doing these. I've only done one, and it was me filming myself talking and editing over it. So I decided I'm going to go buy a microphone, and I'm just going to talk into the microphone, and that's how I'm going to do this from now on. Alright, guys, so like I said, this is Stories with Dan, and we're starting out on the new platform. So the story I'm going to be telling today, when the first time I went to Amsterdam, I was out in the countryside, or I was trying to get myself out to the ocean, out near the ocean of Amsterdam. Now, this is back in, like 2015? So I believe I was about 20 or 19 at the time when I went. One of the days, I was like, all right, looking at the map on Google Maps, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see a big body of water. That must be the Atlantic Ocean, which I'm pretty sure it wasn't. But, being an idiot, I assumed it was. But either way, I just kind of wanted to get to like a beach or a main body of water type thing. Just kind of be like, it's the other side of the world for me, first time in Europe. So it was kind of like a little mission. And so pretty much I rode around. I was checking out spots as I was going, filming things here and there. And I'm just using my maps. And it's kind of, when you're using maps, it spins around a lot. It wasn't as good as it is in 2019. It's definitely gotten better. I've also switched over to Google Maps. So much better for doing that kind of stuff. But yeah, anyways, eventually we started getting further out into the countryside. We just kind of look at our map as we went. All right, I got to go this way a little bit. I got to go that way. I got to take a right here, a left here. As I kept going, it straight started looking, like Band of Brothers, World War II, big grassy fields, hedgerow type stuff, sheep, cows, all that kind of stuff. Now, once I got to the end of this street, it pretty much came to a dead end, big gate fence. You couldn't go. And then the only way was just to kind of go down this half concrete path, half dirt road trail thing that just kind of went into the woods. And I was like, all right, yeah, that's the general direction I need to be going, so I'm going to head down that way. So I pedaled as far as I could on that, and at a point, the concrete road kind of stopped, and then you're on the dirt path by itself, which is, it works. It's fine. It wasn't rough or anything. It was pretty smooth. And I pedal along, and then there's a kind of a fork in the road. One goes off into like a deeper forest, deeper field, and not even like smooth ground, very rough, thick mud type ground, grass growing over it. Pretty much I would have to carry my bike if I went that way. So I decided, you know what, I'm not going that way. I'm going to keep going straight. So I did. Kept going straight, and it only went for a little bit longer until it made a left. And then I took the left for a while, but then you come to this gate, and it's completely blocked off. And pretty much all you can see past the gate is somewhat of a field, like a rough path, but not really anything that was, set in stone or supposed to be walked on. And then just the train tracks that I could see in the distance a while back, but now they're a lot closer. So pretty much I couldn't go that way. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess to continue my journey, I need to keep heading. I got to go backtrack, hit that fork that I saw. So I backtrack. I go down go down the other way on the path. And at this point, I'm carrying my bike, walk down this path for a while, and I'm just hanging out. I have very little money on me. My phone is getting close to dying since I've been using it so much. And I have, a decent amount of water, but besides that, not much to help me in this adventure. So I'm going, and at this point, I'm like, holy shit, I'm getting deeper into the woods. I'm kind of getting lost. I don't know where I'm going. But eventually, the path led, and it ended up at this little, L-shaped road. So it's coming straight at me, and then if you're coming straight toward me, you'd be able to take a right and then go, straight down the other way. And so I was like, oh, cool. I found a real path that I can finally get on. So I hopped on that path. A guy rides by me, on this old, I don't know what you'd call it, like a cruiser bike. Just kind of looked like something from World War II. Just a classic, old man you'd see in, a European countryside film. I don't know how to describe it. In Band of Brothers, there's, a perfect example of what I'm talking about, and I'll throw that clip in as you're listening to this. Anyways, so keep going, and then once I get to the end of that path, now I'm on a main bike path thing, but there's this giant canal, this rushing water, and it had to have been at least 50 feet across to the other side, which didn't matter because I could go left and just keep following the path, and I'm looking at my phone trying to figure things out. And eventually I keep going away, and there's this one town. So at one point I figured out, okay, I'm running low on resources. I have no money. I don't have any water left, and my phone's dying, and we're nowhere near where we want to get to, and it's super far, and it's also going to get dark soon, and I still have to get back all the way to Amsterdam, the main central station area. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I look around for the closest town where I can find a train, because I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna have to find a train station, sneak onto the train, and get a ride back to Amsterdam that way. And thankfully, you know, I'm like, I had enough power on my phone to be like, all right, well, there's a town right here. It's not too far. It's called Weesp. That was a town in Amsterdam, or in the Netherlands, I should say. It's called Weesp, and it's about 15 miles or something from Amsterdam, I think. I'm not 100% sure on that. Anyways, so I'm following the signs, and I'm looking at the signs, and they say 5. They have numbers next to them of how far away these little towns are, and I'm like, okay, and I'm looking at it like a fucking idiot, and I'm looking at it like it's miles. So I see 5 on the sign. I'm like, oh, okay, 5 miles that way. That's not bad at all. On a bike, I can do that really fast. I can get there and we get on the train and get home. Because at this point, I'm very hungry and all that. So I'm following these signs, and eventually I'm back in the random fields walking on a path that's just made for horses or people maybe hiking or mountain biking at the most, I guess. So yeah, I keep following this path, and as I'm walking down it, I'm walking and I'm just looking around, and I hear this like almost like a World War II gun kind of like firing off, like an anti-aircraft gun or just like a MG-42 machine gun. And it just kind of sounded like that ticking, and there's hedgerows around me and stuff, and for a second I was like, it just felt like I was hearing old noises of something that like one of those kind of like time loops where you like think you're seeing or hearing something that happened in the past that you may think is like a past life to yourself. Which was I was like, whoa, what is that? But then I realized this is my water bottle in my backpack clicking on my back, and like it was just in the perfect spot. So every time I took a step, it did this like perfect little click noise, and so it had that perfect rhythm with my walk, making me think I'm hearing this thing. So, anyways, keep walking. Eventually, walk by a bunch of like 2 ladies. They're riding these big ass horses, and I'm carrying my BMX bike, probably like way out of place. And I keep going. Eventually, keep following the signs. And eventually, I think at this point, I realized it was kilometers, not miles. But I was still like, all I have to do is follow the signs, and eventually I'm gonna get there. So that's all right. That's good with me. And eventually I come across another one of these big canals, start following it, and in the distance, going across the big canal was a big white bridge. And then on the other side of that white bridge, according to my maps on my phone, was Weesp. So I'm like, perfect. I found Weesp, not too far. I can literally see it on the other side of this canal. All I have to do is ride down, get over this big bridge, and get there. So eventually I do that. I pedal over this bridge. Now it's summertime, so it's hot, and I'm riding around, and I get into this little town. Now Weesp is like a fairy tale land. There's like, at least in the summertime, there's green, there's lily pads, and there are little canals and water, and the sky was just crystal clear. I had a perfect photo that I got from there. I'll try to find it and add it into this video. But yeah, it's like a fairy tale land there, and all the stuff is super old, and it's just a little town. It's like something you see in Hot Fuzz, if that's a good way to describe it if you've seen that movie. So yeah, and eventually I'm riding around. I'm trying to find this train station, and like, or maybe I can get an Uber. And whilst downloading the app with my last bit of percentage, my phone just completely kills itself. So now my phone is dead, and I have no way of trying to find the train station. I have no way of doing any kind of communicating or anything of the sort. So I'm pedaling around, and I come across these 2 kids, and they're just hanging out on this electrical box outside these apartment homes. And I'm like, I'll ask these kids. They'll probably know, because I had asked this lady before, and she her English wasn't great, and so it was very hard to communicate what I was looking for and stuff like that. So that was the one reason. Anyways, I come up to these 2 kids. Now, they're not Dutch, and they're not like, tourists or anything. They're kids who live there. I think they're Iranian, I believe, something like that. Anyways, I was talking to them, and obviously this isn't their first language either, but they know English pretty well for being young and all that. And so I kind of talked to them like, yeah, I have no money. I'm trying to find the train station, all that. And the one kid didn't really know, what, he was trying to figure it out for me. And then all of a sudden, like a car pulled up coming out of the parking lot of the apartment place, and the 2 kids run over there, and they're like blah blah blah, talking to their mom about like my situation to them or to her. And then she was like, oh yeah, just follow me. Well, she didn't say it, they told me like, oh, follow us. And so they slowly go down the road in their car, and I'm pedaling behind them on my bike. And eventually we pull up to the train station, and out of the graces of these people's hearts, they pulled out €5 and they were gonna give it to me. And I'm like, oh, well, I didn't really know how to buy a train ticket. So the two little kids helped me. We go inside, and the machine to get tickets for the train only accepts coins. And in Europe, they have €1 coins, €2 coins. So paying for something in coins isn't like absurd or obscene, because it's like one coin for $1, or you have a $2 coin, and there's no small bills really. But they have this little convenience stand, and everyone's kind of at that moment. There's like 4 or 5 people in line exchanging their like €5 bills or €10 bills into some coins so they could buy a ticket. But as we walked up, the ladies like told us and a few other people, oh, I just ran out of coins. I can't like exchange any money here. And so then, the kids are like, oh, what are we going to do? Looking at themselves. Like there's 2 brothers, you could tell, an older one and a younger one. And then as we're kind of like walking out of the train station, this other kid, kind of in the ages between the 2 kids, walks up and he's like, hey, or he doesn't say hey, but he walks up and he says, they kind of like the 2 kids talk to this other kid. And just like a movie, he opens up his leather jacket, pulls out a stack of tickets, and opens them up like a deck of cards. So it's like, here you go, man. Like, they pretty much gave me he gave me his ticket to Amsterdam Central. And from there, the little kids tried to give him the €5. I don't think he took it, because they kind of explained the situation. So he was just being nice. And then the 2 little kids showed me to the train station platform, and pretty much showed me where I needed to be. They're like, wait here, and it'll be here at this time, and it's number C34 or whatever it was. And I was like, all right, cool. The older brother had kind of already walked off, and then the little kid, the youngest one, just like put his little fist out, and I gave him a little fist bump, and then he smiled, and then he just turned off and ran away. And I was like, that was super cool that those people helped me out in this situation, because there's no way I would have got back. And they even told me if I tried to sneak on, that I probably would have been caught and would have gotten in a lot of trouble for doing that, and probably been fined or something. Nothing good would have happened from me trying to sneak onto the train. So thankfully, those people were there to help me. I got on the train eventually and got myself back to Amsterdam Central, and then from there, I was able to ride to my hotel, which wasn't too farther from the train station. And yeah, that's pretty much how that ended. That was my first experience in Amsterdam. I've been back 2 different times. If I had to recommend it to anybody, if you want, depends on your style of traveling, but if you want less people, like tourist-wise, to be around when you go to places, always look for the off-season. So in Amsterdam, it's going to be in October, November, December, January. Those are all the winter times, and it's going to be raining a lot more, obviously, but even in the summertime it rains, just because the Netherlands, all that land was technically underwater in the ocean at one point until they started building the canals and all the stuff they did. So yeah, that was my story. First time in Amsterdam in 2015. I've been back 2 times, like I said. I haven't had any crazy getting lost stories, but I always take the time to go back to Weesp. I always pedal my bike out there. There's actually a more direct pathway that got made a few years after that incident where I got lost. So it's kind of a lot easier ride, and it's a lot less, I just know where I'm going at this time, so I'm not getting lost, and I'm not riding out there with 10 cents or €10 in my pocket with barely any money. So yeah, that was the story, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. This is Stories with Dan. This is episode 2. If you'd like, go back and watch episode 1 where I talk about getting arrested in Japan. Yeah, that one's me kind of talking to the camera, so you won't be getting these visuals that I've been supplying you with over the audio, but it's still a good listen, so go check that out. I'm definitely coming out with more of these, so subscribe, comment if you have any questions about the stories, or if you have any stories of your own from Amsterdam or anywhere else in the world, let me know. And if you share anything super crazy, maybe I'll share it here on this YouTube channel. So yeah, drop a comment below. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for listening. This is Stories with Dan. That was episode 2. Have a good day.